Yeah. So currently, I am assistant professor and graduate program coordinator in the Department of Computer Science at University of Texas Permian Basin, which is one of the UT system since fall 2024. Before that, I spent 1 year, 7 months at UTSA as a part of my postdoc journey. And I had really a great experience in terms of my skill set improvement, my learning experience, my research experience, my networking, and of course, this graduate um, graduate studies offices and the postdoctoral offices program, they played a tremendous role for the development of career development, professional development for postdoc and the graduate programs. I attended all that development, career development program, which I remember after my joining since 2023 January till I left UTSA. Apart from that, I also attended subtle program from the University of British Columbia and the Cornell University. I worked primarily in AI and data science. So I joined uh, Department of Computer Science at UTSA of Office of Naval Research Project. And I worked almost 7 months. And when my guide, he left the university, I transferred to another professor, and then I worked on a National Science Foundation. During my postdoc, I always try to collaborate on the interdisciplinary research. So I worked on NSF funded one project, which is primarily for the Antarctic and the NASA data sets. So we have developed a AI model to address some bottleneck in the geoscience domain. So I got a chance to work with the Professor Hanji from the UTSA department, from the Department of Geoscience at UTSA. And I also got chance to collaborate and work from the data science department under Professor Jadliwala. And we have developed a community funded projects. As a part of that, we have a scooter lab. And that's how I built my career. I do have a publication as a part of my postdoc journey. And regarding the job search, I started, I think last year, November, which is little late, but I have a very good experience during my job search, and I got almost 15 tenure track job offers. And I joined University of Texas Permian Basin. Currently, also, I am working in the developing AI tools for K-12 education to promote the AI literacy, which is one of the mission of the United States for AI for K-12 education. I have a one internal fund and two seeds funds, I can say, one from the Department of Education and one from the RSCA, and one is the HSI grant where I work with my grad and undergrad students. I I am contributing to the several committee at the department level and the university level. For example, I was the search committee chair for the lecturer search for the spring 2025. I am the school level and the university level curriculum committee member. I am the ACM student faculty chapter head. I am also the ABAT accreditation head. So you can see a lot more leadership, mentorship role I am doing. And that's how I am building my career. So I think this is all about me.
Nico, you're next.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sean and Madhumita, for inviting me. My name is Nico. My background is in biochemistry and my PhD in chemistry from Argentina. And in 2019, just before COVID, I moved to the US and I joined UTSA. And I was there until last year in July 2024, I moved to my new position. At UTSA, I was in the Department of Biomedical Engineering and Chemical Engineering doing research in biomaterials. I also got the chance to teach some classes. I got involved with the Postdoctoral Association that was probably the best experience that I have in my time at UTSA was that, like being with the postdocs and being in this beautiful group, in this community. And after that, well, I joined my new position. I'm an assistant professor in biomedical engineering at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. And well, my work is, I'm like trying to develop my research lines, my program, and my lab. I'm also teaching, and I also doing like some service in the university. And all the experience in the past I have had at UTSA mainly like have helped me a lot, and probably we can discuss about them later in the next questions, but that will be all about myself.
Thanks, Nico and Priyanka. Mishra?
Yeah. Hi again, everyone. As John mentioned, my name is Priyanka, and I was a previous postdoc at the University of Texas in the lab of Dr. Melanie Carles in the Brain Health Consortium. I think now the department is known by the BRD, Neuroscience Development Regenerative Biology, sorry, NDRB. Before moving to Texas, San Antonio, joining UTSA in 2020, I guess. Yeah. I completed my PhD from India, obtaining a graduation in molecular biology. And then I moved briefly for a year and a half during my PhD program as a visiting scientist at the University of British Columbia in Canada, Vancouver. And then I moved on to join as a postdoc in the lab of Dr. Melanie Carles at the UTSA. So all my expertise and experience have been in the biotechnology, mostly the evolving around the intersection of omics, biology in the applications of neuroscience or immunology. And then I think I stayed as a researcher in the lab of Dr. Carles for a year, and I would say 2 year completing. It was less of 2 year, 1.8, 1 year and 8 months before I moved to transition to industry to join the Alumni as a scientist. And I'm currently located in San Diego, in California, and continuing to enjoy my science here. And then, we can, like, as we go, we can talk more about our experience journey, leadership transition, and how we, kind of make best use of our resources across the employers. So, yeah, I will pass it on to Elsa now.
Thank you. Can hear me. Just maybe a thumbs up if you guys can hear me and or see me. Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you all for your patience. My name is Althea Campuzano. I'm now I'm not an assistant professor of research. I am a senior scientist at General Dynamics Information Technologies. I am located in Fort Sam Houston, which is basically in San Antonio. I am basically a scientist that studies directed energy, and we work to fulfill a mission where we can work in secured information. And we work with a variety of individuals, including soldiers to civilians. And myself, I am a contractor. And I just recently here this position as of January of this year. So it's fairly new to me. So that's why the title change is a little new. I'm originally from UTSA, so I did my bachelor's there. And then I did my PhD and cell biology and molecular degree, no longer there. I think now it's called the MMI department. And from there, I did my postdoc with Chung Yu Hung. And from there, I was an assistant professor in the MMI department briefly for a year. And so if you guys have questions about how to get involved with the DoD as a contractor, I'd be more than happy to give you guys some input and feedback and what the day-to-day is like in government contracting work.
Perfect. Thank you. We're not going to ask. I provided the panelists a number of questions. Well, we won't do round robin for each of the questions. So what I'll do is I'll kind of bounce around. So certain questions will go to some panelists and certain questions will go to the other ones. And of course, if you hear a question and I don't call on you and you're on the panel and you think, oh, I have something really good to add, just jump in. You know, we all know each other. You know, this is like very informal. So first thing is, so when you were doing your job search, how did you job search the current position that you have? And we'll start with Nico.
Oh, okay, great. So I was interested in applying for faculty positions. Normally for that, you have to start planning around August, September is where you start seeing openings there, like in different universities. And you have to have like everything ready, like your CV, your personal statement or research statement, teaching statement, all those things ready. Because it takes a lot of time, like tailoring for each position that you see for each university, like what they want to hear in some sense, like what they are looking for. So you have to modify a little bit your CV or your research statement. So in that sense, it's a lot of work. I applied like for 30 positions, or yes, I submitted like 30 applications like 2 years ago. I had a couple of interviews, but I didn't get like any position. And last year I applied more or less the same number, like 20, 30 applications. And then I went, well, to an interview and I'm here. But something very, very important for me is that in some conferences, at least in biomedical engineering, you have a section for like meet the faculty candidate, and they are like, you can present a poster and different like chairs from different departments or universities, they can go there and talk with you. So for me, that was like my first experience talking with my new chair in my new position. And that is when he told me, you should apply to our open position. We have an open position in a new program in BME. And in fact, I didn't know about this position, about this opening. And it was because of that conference and talking with this person that was great. And that is why I apply, and I put a lot of work in my application, because I was really thinking like, if he came to me and talked with me and he was really kind, I really want to be part of this. So for me, that was more or less my process. I got a lot of rejections as usual, but I was lucky to find this one. So in that sense, it was like that.
Great. And Althea, so you initially came out of your postdoc position into a faculty position, and then you left the faculty position for your current position. So what kind of took you those two directions?
Yeah, so kind of maybe the opposite of Nico, where I wasn't actually looking. In fact, I was in a help. I tend to help the postdoc association. So in fact, I tend to disseminate positions and send them along to other postdocs. And this particular position that was for a contractor through GDIT was from a former colleague of mine who was moving to another position. And so she said, hey, my spot is available. Contractors make a fairly decent income, and it was for a senior microbiologist with BSL-3 experience. And not many people have that experience, and it was pretty much I've checked off every single box that they were looking for. And I sent that out to multiple people and said, why don't you, you actually fit this criteria quite well. Why don't you apply? I'm like, oh, I'm not actually looking. I'm okay. And I would say that I also practice working on my resume and making sure that, whenever you guys are asking for questions and help and advice, that I know what you guys are asking about, especially when it comes to applications. And so when I was actually filling this out, I'm like, well, I'm going to fill it out, see what it's like. So when I filled it out, I actually did get a request to go and have an interview with them. It was by phone. So I never actually saw them in person, which was kind of a cold interview with them. So that was very interesting. Never saw them in person. We talked once and they said, okay, when can you start? They said we went back and forth in the discussions and on negotiation of income and salary. And then basically that's how it went. in fact, for the contracting, especially for security clearance, they actually cannot tell you exactly what you're going to work with. So I will say that that's a little bit of a interesting format compared to everything that is in science, in academia, where we're very clear. We tell you exactly what you're going to work with. We tell you what your project is going to be about. This was, you're going to work in directed energy. And I was like, okay, so what's that about? And they said, directed energy. I'm like, okay. So I had to kind of ask very broad questions to see how I could fill in the dots. I wouldn't suggest this to a lot of people. So it's better when you have someone inside to kind of fill in those gaps. And so because I knew that my former colleague had worked here, I asked her some of the questions and she was able to fill in some of the questions that she could. And so I had some idea of what they were potentially working with. And so that's kind of how I went with this job. Otherwise, it sounded frankly very fishy because they couldn't tell me what I would be working with. But
I mean,
apply and look for these jobs and Indeed. Sorry.
oh, some pluses and negatives. I think most of us would love to have a job interview where they offer us the job in the interview. That would be really nice. But not knowing exactly what you're going to be doing, that's definitely a leap of faith. But are you enjoying what you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was
It's definitely, yeah.
It was a leap of faith that paid off.
Absolutely. And I was looking for something new and exciting. And to a lot of people at UTSA had informed me previously that because I did my bachelor's here and because I did my PhD and because I did my postdoc there, that I didn't show growth. And even though I went through different PIs and I learned new techniques. And so I think that by doing something completely different, it basically shows that I can be quite cool. And if this doesn't show that I can, flourish in a very different environment, I don't know what else would. But it's very exciting. I will say that.
Nice. Well, congratulations to you both on your current positions. And we're going to switch over to our next question with Priyanka Kumar and Priyanka Mishra. Your postdoc position that you had at UTSA, how did that prepare you for your current position that you have?
Okay.
And we'll start with Priyanka Kumar.
Okay, thank you. So it's a good question. So I would like to mention that I completed PhD from India, IIT Hyderabad, India, which is one of the premier institution. I had international experience through JICA program under University of Tokyo for 6 months. I had a postdoc offer, but due to my family reason, I couldn't do. Then I joined as an assistant professor at the 4th NIRF ranking institution, Amrita University. So NIRF means National Institute Framework Ranking, which is one of the top 10 engineering institution in India. So there I established my career. I have my 4 PhD students and I was teaching for the grad, undergrad, and my promotion file was pending. But how I got a postdoc, it's like a very strange. And I'm fortunate I got postdoc and I spent 1 year, 7 months at UTSA. So what I want to say, I have all the teaching, mentorship, research, all kind of experience in India at a better institution, but still there is a cultural difference, right? So when I started my postdoc at UTSA, my focus was first, to build my research skill. Already I have a couple of publication, I have a patent, I have a funded grant, but here my focus was how I can expand my research area, which was AI. And AI is one of the hot topic, especially in computer science. And I joined Office of Naval Research Project, where I develop a AI model, especially several, the RNN, LSTM transformer model, which predicts the faults in the diesel engine with respect to driving cycle. When my professor left the university, I have almost 2 to 3 weeks, very tough time, because my professor wanted to take me the university where he joined, but I was not in a situation to move. Then I switched to another professor, and there I worked on, the NSF funded project, and I submitted a 3 years proposal, which was CIF NSF call. And after that, I have no idea how the proposal outcome was there. Then during the postdoc, of course, I wanted to, a job in United States. And there is a cultural difference, little terminology, everything is different, right? No matter how excellent your career is, how excellent your academics, your experience, but everything was new to me. So it was a bit challenging. I started little late. I can remember, I think November. So ideally it should start by August and September. So I have my CV ready. I have my personal statement. I have my research statement, like a 5 years of plan, teaching statement, 5 years of plan. And in the December, I remember within a month, I was expecting I was supposed to get at least call, which is not possible, but I was not knowing that. And, I was little tensed. What is happening that? So in the meantime, I attended all the career professional development program. And I also completed the subtle program. So I was quite collaborating with the Indian professors, with my collaborator, colleagues, Indian students. I was keep publishing the paper. At the same time, I was looking for a job, and I met at the right time the chair, CS chair at the UTSA, Dr. Fred Martin, and I just have a quick conversation, and I showed my interest. I'm not getting a call, and he was just laughing. He said, "It's too early." And when I explained my experience and what kind of teaching and research I did in my previous employer, so he was very impressed. And that time, a Christmas holiday, he was on travel, and he asked me just share my all the documents. And there is a 5 to 10% of the tweaking. It was like, I can tell you, I have a 3 master's degree from India, and all of 3 masters, I am the university topper. So in India, we call gold medal, which is, very uncommon, and which is very strange in United States. Nobody understand. So he said, what is gold medal? We do not know. So you, instead of that, you can write in your, the personal statement, university first rank, right? We said BTech, MTech, United States, you have BS, MS, right? So when I have written, I have guided this projects for undergrad or grad, it is more appropriate in United States. So these are the small, tweaking he did. And my first, I think, interview was in February, and March first week, I have a tenure track offer from University of Minnesota. And after that, every week I was getting a call, and I have not applied. I heard many people have applied 70, 80, 100, 200. No, hardly I applied 50. Almost 40 university called me. I have first round clears more than 50%, and almost 17, 18, below 20 I visited in campus. I have 15 tenure track offers. And there was a situation I can share with you. I was very choosy. I was very picky, because being an international, we have to look at several aspects. And of course, the visa was one of the criteria. Second is my career, because I had already established career. I don't want to wait for tenure 5 years. So that was for my first priority rather than my salary and other benefits. So I was just, instead of accepting within a month, I was keep rejecting every offer. And at that, when the June or May last, I had no offer, because all of them I rejected. And one university which I stick, they said they are going to, communicate and file my visa on time. And it was a premium processing. And after 3 weeks, I didn't hear from them. And they said they are going to do. So it was a very tough time. Within a week, I had no offer, although I got several offers. But, I had a confidence, definitely I will go. And that's how the UTPB, where currently I am located and I am working that, it was an opening. And suddenly I got again 2, 3 offers. And during my interview, I was very open and I said I have parallel these 3 offers. And these people appreciated, and as per my negotiation and my demand and my commitment, the university agreed, and that's how I am here. So after that, again 2-3 offers I got it, like University of Texas A&M, UA Little Rock, all this. And since once I signed one offer, I cannot accept others. So I am truly blessed for the UTSA, UTSA CS department, and my department chair, Dr. Fred Martin, Dr. Madhumita, John, team, and all the graduate office staff for supporting me in all the aspects. And that's how I got several offers. And I'm very happy to be the part of UTPB because I am well recognized with a lot more responsibility. I am doing well. So that's all and I'm happy to answer at the end if you have any specific questions.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the shout out. That was very sweet. Priyanka Mishra, how did your postdoc position help you or prepare you for your current position?
Yeah, to my experience and from my journey, I will keep it, brief in the interest of time. What I feel is like, I knew that I'm looking for a transition to, make my transition from the academia into industry. So I was very clear there. Although I was kind of simultaneously keeping a backup option by looking my, job opportunities both in the academia as well for the next leadership position to transition into assistant professor as well. But I was more inclined and dedicated towards my job hunt in the industry. And what I have learned from my personal career experience, and everyone has their very individual journey, as Priyanka Kumar just described, as they described about her transition period, and Nicholas mentioned things like that. So everyone have their very individual journey in terms of what you want to do. What I believe is like if you have a clear a perspective and clear determination of what you want to do and what you are looking for, and you know how to transition or translate your skills from one job position to the other job position, has been very helpful for me. And from all those learning experience, from giving the interviews, whether it has been 1 interview, 10 interviews, 100 interviews, 100 rejections, from all those interviews and opportunities has always been a learning experience for me, to help me prepare more better and better. And my job strategy search has been like through just like a very common job board search through the LinkedIn, through Twitter, through Indeed, and there are several other Nature, Science Career, and things like that. There are different job tools where you look for the position. I knew what I'm looking for, given on my expertise and experience. I was just going in the same direction, and that's how I started to go for the interviews and find the settlement there in one of the position. One thing I would also like to highlight, and I can talk about it, separately if you have more questions on any of those things. One thing also that I learned from my experience is like you should know, because based on my personal journey and my experience, my expertise has been very diverse. In case of I'm not going to more technical details, but from the domain or the topic in which I obtained my PhD to moving into the postdoc position, and then doing a project which I did briefly in my University of Columbia STEM, and then what I am doing in Alumni, all has been very diverse, but there is always a connecting dot that that, okay, how you can translate your skills from one project to one experience to the other experience, and how you can connect those dots to, present yourself as a best candidate for your next position. So those things, if you know how, to make those connections work, will be very useful for you to be successful in your next term. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll go back to Nico. Nico, how did you prepare for your interview that got you your current position?
That
What
is
were
a great question, and I have the answer here. I do a lot of research, so normally during the interviews, at least for faculty positions, you talk with a lot of people. Like you have to present a seminar about your work, and you also have to present a seminar about what you have done and what you will do in the future. So that is just presentation. Like, of course, as Altia was saying, you have to know how to communicate and how to present your results and also how to sell your ideas. But I think it's also important like that you show this capacity to be part of something bigger, like a department, like that you can interact with other professors. So in that sense, what I was doing is reading about the research, reading about their ideas. If I can find like an interview, I was reading about them. Why? Because then you are sitting with them like for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you have to have some area, some topic of conversation. And sometimes like your research is not so close. So in that sense, for me, like being really prepared was, okay, yes, having my slides, my presentation, I'm practicing that, for example, with my advisor or with my lab in that moment. So to receive some feedback, also have a clear idea of what I want to do in the future, to present like my future works and future grant applications, but also do a lot of research of what are the ideals of the university, what is the kind of students that they have, the kind of classes that I would be able to teach. And for talking with each like person, I had like a list of questions. Even when I talked with the dean, I had a lot of things that I wanted to ask him. And I think that showing that interest and that capacity to like interact with others is important. And yes, that is how I prepare. And again, like this, here I have like a list of questions for all my interviews, like for every like person I was going to meet. And I think that is important because it gave me a lot of confidence. And that is also something important. When you feel confident that you know what you're doing, that you know how to answer like the questions, that you know how to interact with the other people, because at least you know something that they do, something that they like. I think that is important. The confidence is very important.
Thank you, Nico. I will love to have your this book. If you want to let us share with our postdocs, it will be really great for them. Thank you again.
Althea, this must have been a challenge for you because from what you said, you really didn't know. You knew the organization you were going to work for, but you didn't know a lot about the job. So when you don't know a lot about the actual position, how do you prepare for the interview?
Yeah, you kind of have to be creative, which I will say that grad school kind of prepares you for that. So, for instance, is knowing people while not knowing them. So that may be by hunting down advisors, just like you guys do for publications. You may not know the lead professor, but you find the co-authors. So that's basically what I did. Now, I will say. They didn't actually use their names during the interview as well. So I was looking up anyone that I could find by the names that they had, because their proper name is not what they go by. Yeah, so that was fun. Um, but I did find someone in related to the general terms, and I found enough papers where I could understand basic information of what they could do. And then luckily, they were interested in looking for immunologists, which is something I do. And so they were asking me general questions on how they could apply my research to what their overall question would do and how that could apply to the mission. And so that's honestly one of the most exciting things of my job is I get to work with statisticians, computer scientists, modelers, physicists, neurobiologists, and we all talk different languages. And I can kind of share a story where someone talked to me about having to work with something intact. And for a very short moment, I actually thought that we were um, neutering animals. I'm like, oh, is that what we do? Is that the study? And they meant like, oh no, they wanted to work with intact neurons. I'm like, oh, thank God. But when they talk intact, I thought they were talking about intact animals. They were talking about intact neurons. So intact is intact in different scopes. We all use it differently. So you start learning their lingo is different from my lingo, but it's the same word. And so we start learning each other's languages, even though it's still the same English, it's just different ways of using it. And it's really exciting because I get to learn a new way of thinking. And so I did find a couple of publications, and I will be honest. One of the things that you learn in the PhD is that you never start out with a blank page. You learn, you have a foundational knowledge, and you apply that foundation to something that you know. And so, for instance, they're looking for a certain reaction, and so I know the general dynamics of immunology to certain reactions, so I can basically hypothesize what could potentially occur in if they see some sort of stimulus. And so that's really cool, is that I generally don't know. And so they really do look up to me to say, what do you think is going to happen? And I really don't know. These are complete unknowns. And in military research, there really isn't a lot of basic science. So I will say that it does move rather fast. And that is something that compared to academic science, where you may be asking a general basic question for very long periods of time, you may have a project and the interest of that project may be dropped within a year, if not a month. So you guys know that obviously we have presidential changes. So there was an interest in a certain project. And then as soon as January something happened, then that project got dropped. And so now there's a major shift. So you have to learn to pivot. And so that's something that's also very interesting to me, is that you really can't fall in love with projects. You have to learn to kind of drop what you're doing and move on. And so it's a new techniques, new appreciations, new thought processes, and also something new to think about is that I also don't get to take my ideas home. For instance, I have to drop things from work at work. NipperNet, or basically secure lines. I have to use the Prism system, or like graphing software that is provided at work because my home is not secure enough for me to work from it at home. So all my work must be at work. So that means no working from weekends, guys. So just something to consider. You have to actually have a work-life balance. Can you imagine that? So that is something that I am still coping with, understanding that I can have a life, and it's really weird to think about what I do on the weekends. And so it's just a very different perspective to consider.
That's great. Because we're running short on time, and because I do want to leave it open for questions, I'm just going to do one last question for the entire panel that is prescribed. And then we'll move it open to, I'll stop the recording, then we'll move it open to questions from those in the audience. Your future career goals, just briefly, if you could tell me what's the next step? Where do you want to go from here? Like what's your pinnacle a job, post the one you currently have, or maybe your current one is exactly what you want to be doing. We'll start with Priyanka Mishra. What do you hope to be doing in the future?
Yeah, it's a very tricky question, but yeah, I would like to grow on my career from where I am currently. So yeah, that's something that I definitely know that I like to do the type of science I would be really doing in the industry environment rather than the academia. So if I had to think of looking back, like, oh, if I would have had to ever make a move back into the academic setting, would something I know that I would be clear, maybe not at this point. And yeah, I would just like to grow on my expertise and grow further in my career, maturing my science and developing on more leadership positions and roles in the future.
Thank you. And Nico, what's your goal?
My goal would be like continue working here at least until I get tenure. That would be like, yes, the goal. I have 5 years more or less to prove that I can do this, that I can develop a research program, that I can teach, that I can serve the university. After that time, I will be like under evaluation to see if they give me like the job for more time or not. And in that sense, that would be like my objective, like yes, develop my research program and my teaching and my service in order to obtain tenure. Then if I'm going to continue working here at this university that I really like or not, I don't know, but that would be the plan.
Perfect. And Priyanka Kumar, what is your ultimate career goal?
Yeah, that's a very good question to me. I have a very good plan for next 5 to 10 years. I want to secure first external fund. I want to collaborate more and more and establish more industry partnerships so that we can fill the bridge between the academia and research. I want to have my personal professional growth with the growth of the department and university. So I want to see at least one rank higher than where I am today.
Wonderful. And finally, Althea, our scientist spy working for the government who we can't know what she's doing. What do you want to do in the future?
I can either deny or approve what you're saying. I'm just kidding. No, I will say it's kind of the sky is the limit as far as here. And especially, this would be considered almost if I wanted to, what is it called? Almost like if I wanted to do, where you go and learn a new technique and then come back to academia. So quite frankly, I will always and truly enjoy teaching and training. I get the opportunity to do that here. There's a lot of staff scientists, there's graduate students here in some scope, and not to the degree that obviously at UTSA has. So I would still love to teach at one point or another. So I'll definitely keep that open. And eosinophils are still dear and near to my heart. And so I would still love to do that research, but we'll see how it goes.
I actually have a